Take a look at this from Alpha News. This is, I believe this is Minnesota. Might kill somebody. Conservative writer targeted in swatting incident over the weekend. Quote, we're pulling a dozen officers off the road from patrols to be able to do this. Fake SWAT that might kill somebody. So this is a very serious matter, Dustin Grage said of the incident. You then have this. This is from talkers.com. Talk radio host Joe Pags swatted armed police swarm his home. Geez. You've got Larry Taunton. I was swatted last night, as you can see in these 3 videos. I was in bed, but noticed Ranger, my German Shepherd, was on the prowl, ears up. I heed his instincts. I then saw a flicker of light on my BR door. Ranger went to investigate. I got my gun. I saw the silhouette of a man on my deck with an AR-15. Given my recent run-in with USAID and the Egyptian secret police in Cairo, I didn't know what to think. I could hear whispers and saw 2 other men also in body armor, heavily armed. Jeez. I turned on a light and told them to identify themselves. They did as you'll see, but I kept my weapon. It de-escalated from there. The officers told me they received a call from someone claiming to be in my home and hiding while I shot people. These were the good guys, just doing their jobs. I doubt any voted for Biden or Kamala. They'd approached the house without sirens, in silence. This might have been a bloodbath, but for restraint on both sides. This was an attempt to get me and my wife killed. It ended in smiles and handshakes. There's more. Bearded vet. Well, add me to the swatted list. Everybody is fine. And then we have Matt Van Swole. I just got off a long call with the police officer in this photo who responded to a swatting call at my home. So we've got, 5 right there. And I don't even think this list is exhaustive. There's probably more.
Yep.
This is terror and attempts to murder people. With what we're seeing at the Tesla dealerships, what is this one? Is this the Daily Mail story? Woke activists attempt to torch Tesla chargers ends in painful agony. He set himself on fire. They're going after these people. Right now, they are still targeting Teslas and Tesla dealerships. There's a post on Reddit of a Tesla vehicle, a sticker saying, we bought this before we knew Elon was crazy.
I saw one of those in the parking lot.
And they said people are trying to distance themselves from Elon. No, they're trying to beg you not to murder them. Anybody who spent any time in Oakland knows exactly what businesses in Oakland do. They put signs in their windows saying, please don't hurt us. We saw this during the Summer of Love. That's how you live when you live under a communist dictatorship. This is what they are escalating with. And I don't believe that Cash, Pam, or Dan Bongino are going to back down and let these people keep doing this. But if these people start getting arrested, and we are looking at a critical mass, I mean, how many people have attacked Tesla vehicles? We have viral videos of a random old guy keying a Tesla, getting arrested, or of another guy getting arrested. It's a standalone complex. It is a cultural phenomenon among woke to just start doing these things. And at the same time, they're going on TikTok, they are going on X, and they are posting videos calling for the assassination of politicians. And they have prominent celebrities like Bill Burr saying, free Luigi. They're all cheering on Luigi. And then Bill Burr actually goes on his podcast to his millions of followers, however many watch his show. And he says he wants lethal force against billionaires. This is the hottest I've ever seen it in this country. The hottest. We are in winter still. It is not spring. Spring's coming. Over the past 10 years, tracking and reporting on these riots and protest movements, we never went out in the winter. You never went out in the cold. The activists don't show up in the cold. Now you got people going out in the cold to set fires and burn down dealerships and firebomb buildings. This is the worst I've seen in my life.
Yeah, and especially the normalization. I'm surprised you didn't bring up the threat from Hassan Piker towards Rick Scott, where he said if you cared about this fraud, you'd do that to
People,
Rick Scott.
Right.
And he was banned off Twitch for a week, and I think he got back on immediately. No politicians are really coming out to condemn him. AOC, I believe, had a stream with this guy in the past. She has nothing to say about this. So
CNN had him on. He's been all over the place.
The willingness to overlook this stuff, especially when they have a microscope to anything going wrong on the right. This swatting issue needs to be taken extremely seriously. I feel like this has been going on for over a decade. I don't know if the FBI or whoever is not taking this issue seriously. I feel like until somebody dies.
Someone's already died from swatting.
From swatting?
I'm pretty sure a handful of people have.
Wow. Nothing's been politically motivated. It's all like gaming or some kind of...
Right. There's a gaming dispute where the guy walked out of his house and the cops shot him. I have never seen so many political swattings at once. This is in the span of like 3 days. We have like 8 or 9 swattings.
Yeah. Not to mention, this also affects the people with the least amount of assets. If you're rich enough to be able to afford security, or guess what, Fox News doesn't have to deal with swattings because they work in a prominent building where you have security at their entrance. So this isn't happening to Daily Wire, or if it is, they have ways to deal with it where that makes them more safe. If you're some guy on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube with under 100,000 subscribers, out in some random state, some random town.
2 known deaths related to swattings. Andrew Finch in Wichita, Kansas. He was shot and killed by police responding to a false report. And Mark Herring in 2020 suffered a fatal heart attack when police arrived at his home due to a false report. Because they were trying to steal his Twitter handle.
Jeez, that's right.
Yeah, it's sad that death is what brings so much attention to a lot of these issues, and I hope something could happen before we get to that point on issues like this.
I think this Tren de Aragua deportation thing is one of the hottest escalations in politics, combined with the things on the ground. I don't know if people understand the seriousness of a lower court judge and Democrat-aligned organizations trying to assert power over the presidency. How insane that is. This lower court judge saying my equitable powers. They view themselves as above the duly elected president. What do you think a person who believes that is capable of doing?
What's a lower court judge, like federal or less? What are you talking about?
So there's this is a federal district court judge.
Okay.
And then there's the higher courts. There's the federal appellate judge. This is the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So this is a city judge, effectively. He's a federal judge, but he's just in the city dealing with federal issues, arguing that he has the power over foreign policy decisions made by the president of the United States. And he's in court and they're saying he's yelling at people and demanding they heed his oral orders. It's not the first time a judge has done this. Look at what Democrats were doing with trying to put Trump in prison. Look at what happened with the 2 attempts on Trump's life. Guys, we now have acts of terror against all these Tesla dealerships escalating. It's not slowing down, even with law enforcement. We have swattings, which is terrorism. It's got an extremely low likelihood of death, but that is the intention. At the very least, it's to terrify you and make it hard for you to do any work. They are escalating their attacks against people on the right while actively going on social media and advocating for assassinations and murder. Bill Burr, he should it's crazy. He didn't saying that he believes a group of people should be killed is shocking. And 10 years ago, Spotify, Apple, wherever his podcast was, they'd taken him down. They'd have been like, my guy, you cannot do that. Nobody cares anymore. The gloves are off. I was surprised to find that when Bill Burr said this, he got no bans.
Nothing happened.
I was like, I work in this industry. I know people at Spotify. We went to their party in D.C. I could not believe, as far as I know right now, Bill Burr went on his show and he said that these people should be put down. He called for them to die. Nothing.
He's been making a lot of these comments. I think he said something about Luigi.
He said free Luigi twice.
Free Luigi twice.
Yep.
He's getting radical. He's radicalizing.
Again, some of the most unpopular positions writ large in the country, by the way. I know some people like to be loudmouths about this, yapping on Twitter about free Luigi this, free Luigi that. Ordinary, regular, normal, healthy people, mentally stable people don't believe that CEOs should be murdered in cold blood. Healthcare CEOs, pharmacy CEOs.
Humans in general shouldn't be.
What?
Humans in general. They don't think people should just go around just shooting people.
Yes.
If you have a rational brain, you're not
there's
looking for,
and it's just hatred.
Yeah.
They represent nothing. They agree on nothing. They simply agree on the power structure. The only thing the left represents right now is, quote, there is no truth but power, end quote. So if you are a leftist and you've got 50,000 followers, you defer to the bigger accounts that tell you what to do. It doesn't matter what they tell you to do. It just matters that they're prominent. If AOC came out and said something, they'd all march in lockstep, unless it was so far outside. But as long as she stays in the confines of wokeness, they'll agree with her because she's prominent.
If you look at the consistency of the leftists as well, is they go off like what the feminists did to popularize their belief, which is standpoint theory, right? So we're not going to tell history through an objective lens. We're going to tell it through the lens of the oppressed person, right? And what's interesting about that is the best way to do that is by killing the patriarchy. So destroying the man that is the head of the household. If you can do that, if you can feminize the little man that's coming from the father, then you can essentially do everything else, because now women are interchangeable widgets with the man, and they also have the same level of power, which is what they're kind of doing with Trump now. Is we remove the masculinity, we remove the patriarchy, which is toxic for us, and we put in place something else.
What's that something else?
Well, they have nothing but their first step.
I think of the left as fire. With the right components, it will burn, and it will spread, and it will consume, and it will destroy, but it does nothing else.
What they're talking about nowadays is either climate change and or LGBTQ rights. That's like their only
Not climate change anymore.
Well, kind of a little bit, or Palestine.
Abortion.
Yeah, I think climate change as an issue doesn't work for them anymore because they're torching electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Well, you know what else is funny? It's a contradiction right there, right? So they say LGBTQ rights. You ask them why. Well, because people would need to do a specific action right now for the short term to keep them in the long term. But with climate change, it's we remove all duties from, or we implement a lot of duties short term. So long term, our kids can have a great life. So they do the opposite. They say we don't need duties, but then we need duties.
But they would make the argument that the reason that they're torching Teslas and stuff is because it's fighting fascism.
Yeah.
So like it's like, well, you know, we have to fight the fascists because if the fascists get in charge, or the fascists are in charge, so we have to fight the fascists. Once the fascists are not in charge, once we're back in power, then we'll worry about the climate.
I will say this: even though the Antifa and the far left are against Teslas and EVs, I'm still also against Teslas and EVs. I still hate EVs. I'm not that much of a contrarian where just because they also hate Tesla, like I would never buy a Tesla. Still, I refuse to autopilot. I will not live in the pod. No autopilot for me.
But even when they say fascist, they mean patriarchy as well. But there's a guy named Jim McNamara. He did a study. It was 2,000 different mass media portrayals of men. And he was seeing that over 75% of these big media outlets, like news articles, media channels, they would speak of men in the way of they are villains, they are abusers, they are philanderers. Yeah. They would speak of them negatively. So if you can spread this propaganda, we can destroy the patriarchy. That's what they're doing with the same thing with Trump as well.
You know,
so, real quick, I got a list of these swattings. I believe that's.
Oh, geez Louise.
What do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 swattings. I think this may actually be missing. Do they have a Grage in there? They do have him in there, don't they? They do have him in there.
Yeah, Dustin.
And do they have? I don't think they have Joe Pags though, do they?
I don't know what his Twitter handle is.
Joe Talk Show. Joe Talk Show's in there. Okay.
I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but it seems as though there's some sort of pattern.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're targeting largely people on the right with swattings.
Yeah.
And so what did we count to? Was it 15?
Hickory, that ivory hickory?
I don't know.
I don't look it up.
I don't know who I'm either.
I noticed these are real Twitter
Stu
people.
Peters, too. Jeez.
These are people who are very active on Twitter and not on many other social media platforms. From the names of these that I do recognize.
Yeah. So this is from Data Republican on X, the Swattings timeline. And so, I believe we have the full list here.
So in a matter of 7 days, they hit what do you said, 18 or something?
The time is in UTC +2. Why?
Where is that?
That's, what is that?
Yeah, but the world lives
Germany?
off of EST.
Where's this person
How
from?
dare they? How dare they?
It might
Data
be
Republican.
Germany or the Netherlands.
Everything's EST.
Where's Data? Yeah.
Europe somewhere?
Well, yeah, of course.
You guys don't count over there. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's interesting that these are mostly Twitter people, not TikTokers, not YouTubers. Seems targeted. Obviously, the timeline, a lot of these are happening very close together.
Not politicians, there's people who go on X and
but there's also something to say about if you are big enough, you don't publicly talk about all of your swattings. If you have, Fox News, Daily Wire, so on.
Yeah.
Politicians also, I don't think, want to publicize this because there is some fear of this encouraging more attacks once you publicize them. So we're hoping to see a reduction in that. And hey, maybe next time I'm in the press briefing room, I will try to ask Press Secretary Leavitt about these swattings.
Well, thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.